So let's talk a little bit about lessons learned as an entrepreneur. So what would you say would be one or two of the biggest lessons that you've learned while growing your business?
Yeah. One of them I kind of already mentioned, which is being self-aware. And, I talk to myself all the time. I get caught.
Don't we all?
I get caught often. I'm like, sorry. But like literally talking to yourself, almost like floating outside of yourself and like observing what you're doing, observing what you're thinking. And, I talk about this on my social a lot. Taking retreats is a huge part of that for me. I know you do them quarterly as well. That ability to stop doing your business and focus on building or growing, if that's what you want to do for your business, those are not the same thing. You will not stumble into a recap of your quarter. You must stop and reflect. And so that sort of kind of formalized, I'm taking a retreat, or even just, like me being like, man, if I have to make another website, I will quit this entire thing, right? And being really present with like, that's just not a complaint that I share with somebody. That is the beginning of an action plan. Like, if you don't want to make websites, you need to make a plan for how to stop making websites. You can't just cold turkey throw it on somebody's website. And so that ability to just like hear yourself and understand yourself is huge. And I think, again, to what I mentioned about being able to look back at what you've done, pep talking yourself frequently of like, bitch, you already did it. You can do it next. You can do the next thing. And just being really like, even in the moments when you didn't do it, right? If you planned something, it didn't go the way you wanted it to. Reminding yourself that you are worthy is never stops, right? Because that putting yourself out there, which is now your profession, requires you to just like be so brave with yourself. And that means that like when things you do plan don't go to plan, you have to tell yourself that that's part of it too. So I think that like just self-awareness is huge. And then I think probably the other big thing is, and I think there's a lot of strategy that can go into this, but I think it actually can sometimes be easier than we think, is just like talking about what you're doing. And that's, sometimes I even, as adjacent as we are to marketing, get overwhelmed by the idea of marketing. And I'm like, marketing is just talking about what you're doing. And I'm like, and yes, there is strategy behind how you talk about what you're doing. But the reason I got those clients so fast is because I just made a post saying, I'm starting a business. I'm going to be doing graphic design. And by talking about what I'm doing is how I got from June of 2020 to today. And so not overthinking that sometimes, and just kind of authentically telling your story to anybody, right? The people, like I have gotten many clients in elevators with people because they're like, hi, what do you do? And I'm like, oh, I run a design and communication agency. Give me your card, give me your website. And so just figuring out how to talk about what you're doing and doing it, just really doing it is a huge thing that never stops being helpful.